The wind tore through the trees, rattling branches like whispers of warning. Rain slicked the narrow path, and the forest ahead swallowed every trace of light. Mohan gripped the bicycle handles tighter, his heart hammering, knowing each pedal could mean the difference between life and loss. Every shadow seemed to watch, every rustle promising something he could not yet see. The child's vivid cries pushed him onward, even as the darkness pressed closer, thick and suffocating. Mohan paused at the edge of the dimly lit room, listening to the faint, uneven breathing of his child. The fever had grown stronger, and the child's small body trembled under the thin blanket. Outside, the storm had intensified, wind clawing at the roof and rain tapping like an urgent warning. Mohan's mind raced. The villagers' words echoed in his memory, warnings of travelers who had vanished along the road at night. Yet the thought of waiting or seeking help later was unbearable. Time was slipping, and every second could decide life or loss. He picked up the child, heart tight with fear, whispering promises of safety as he prepared to leave the shelter of home. Every shadow in the room seemed heavier, the air thicker, as if the forest itself waited to test his resolve. Mohan knew he had no choice. He had to reach the city before the night consumed them both. Mohan pushed the bicycle forward, each rotation of the pedals sending a shiver through his arms as the tires slipped over wet earth. The forest around him was dense and unyielding. Shadows clung to the trees, twisting with the wind. Rain slicked the path, forcing him to slow, but every hesitation felt like surrender. He whispered to himself, reminding himself why he had to move. His child's life depended on reaching the city. Branches snapped underfoot, echoing like distant footsteps that weren't his own. The storm made it impossible to see far ahead, and the path curved unpredictably, hiding hollows and puddles that could unseat him. Mohan's chest tightened with every gust, every rustle of leaves. The darkness seemed alive, pressing from all sides, testing his resolve. He told himself that fear could not stop him, that panic could not claim him. He had to keep moving, keep pedaling. Yet, with every turn, every rise and dip of the uneven road, a sense of being watched crept closer, and Mohan felt the forest watching him as he raced against time, knowing that each pedal could carry him closer to safety, or to something unknown waiting in the shadows. Mohan's wheels rattled over stones when he noticed a figure sitting by the roadside, motionless under the dim light that barely broke through the canopy. The man's posture was heavy, almost weighted by an unseen burden. Mohan slowed, unsure why someone would be there at this hour. "Son, could you help me lift this?" the man asked, his voice low and calm, yet carrying an odd weight. Mohan hesitated, torn between fear and instinct. He stepped closer, the rain pattering on his shoulders. "No time," he whispered to himself, thinking of the child. Still, the man's gaze held something unsettling, compelling him to obey. As Mohan reached to assist, the figure blinked and then vanished, leaving only the wet road and the echo of his own breath. A chill ran through him, a sudden awareness that this was no ordinary traveler. He gripped the handlebars tighter, pedaling faster, the forest feeling heavier, as if it had just tested him and found him wary but still moving. Mohan's tires skidded as the chains snapped free, sending the pedals spinning uselessly beneath him. He swore under his breath, crouching to fix it while the storm pressed closer, the trees bending with sudden gusts. Every shadow seemed sharper now, every sound amplified by the night. His heart pounded, the forest felt alive, watching, testing him. Hands wet from rain, Mohan forced the chain back, muscles tense, knowing that each second lost made the path ahead more dangerous. He mounted the bicycle again, eyes darting through the dark, aware that the forest had grown heavier around him, and the night would not forgive mistakes. Mohan's breath caught as he emerged from the trees onto a clearing, and there she was, Rekha, standing perfectly still under the pale glow of the storm-lit sky. Relief surged, but it faltered immediately. Her movements were off, almost too deliberate, and her eyes seemed to flicker with something he couldn't place. "Mohan, why are you here?" "We shouldn't stay," she said, her voice soft, but carrying an urgency that felt foreign. He stepped closer, clutching his child, whose small body pressed to him like a lifeline. "It's our only way out, the road," he stammered, pointing toward the distant path. Rika shook her head slightly, lifting her hands as if to take the child. "You must give him to me. It will be easier to move quickly." Mohan hesitated, confusion and instinct warring. The air grew still, the storm seeming to pause as if waiting. Every rational thought told him something was wrong, but the urgency of the night forced him to comply. As the child was handed over, Mohan's eyes never left her, noting the subtle, impossible calm, and the fleeting glimpse of a shadow moving just beyond the clearing. Something about Rekha was no longer entirely human, and Mohan knew the forest held its own rules he had yet to understand. Mohan stumbled into the open fields, mud sucking at his shoes, the wind tearing at his coat. The child's faint cries pierced the night, but they seemed to come from every direction at once. His eyes darted across the darkness, trying to locate the sound, but each shadow twisted, hiding or revealing shapes that made him hesitate. Where is he?" Mohan whispered, voice tight with urgency. Every instinct screamed that the forest had shifted, that the path he had known was gone. Ahead, the outline of the old man lingered briefly, but when Mohan raised his voice, it vanished into the rain-soaked night. He ran toward the sound again, heart hammering, legs cutting through the tall grass. Yet every step seemed to stretch time, every cry a phantom, guiding him deeper into confusion. His mind struggled to separate reality from fear, but one thought was clear. He had to reach his child before the night claimed any more ground. Each moment of uncertainty twisted the familiar into something alien, and Mohan knew that moving forward was the only choice. Even as the forest whispered threats he could not see, Mohan broke through the last stretch of tall grass and froze. There, under the sparse light of the storm, the old man stood motionless, holding the child gently but firmly. The child's small form seemed fragile in his grasp, and Mohan's chest tightened. "Give him back," Mohan shouted, stepping closer, mud sliding beneath his boots. The old man's eyes met his, calm yet unreadable, and for a moment nothing moved but the wind whipping through the field. Mohan advanced, muscles tense, every instinct screaming to reclaim his child. The old man didn't respond verbally, only holding the child closer. Testing Mohan's resolve, Mohan's mind raced. One wrong move and he could lose the child, or fall victim to whatever power this figure held. Heart hammering, he reached forward, voice steady despite fear. The forest seemed to hold its breath. Then, from the shadows beyond, the faint rumble of a motorcycle drew closer, headlights cutting through the rain-soaked darkness. The old man's form shivered and dissolved, vanishing into the night, leaving the child safe in Mohan's arms. Relief and disbelief surged through him. The storm, the forest, and the strange figure had tested him, and he had endured. A distant rumble grew louder, cutting through the storm and forest noise. Mohan's eyes widened as headlights pierced the darkness. The motorcycle rider slowed near them, concern clear in his posture. The old man's figure wavered, then dissolved into the night, leaving the child safe in Mohan's arms. "Please, take us to the hospital," Mohan gasped, voice trembling with relief. The rider nodded, guiding them carefully along the muddy path. Mohan held the child tightly, heart finally slowing, aware that the night's dangers had passed. Every glance over his shoulder confirmed the forest was empty now, the strange figure gone, and a quiet sense of safety settled over them as they moved toward help. Mohan arrived at the hospital, the child safe and warm in his arms. Nurses quickly checked the child's condition, confirming he was stable. Mohan exhaled, shoulders loosening as relief settled in. Rika appeared by his side, her face a mixture of worry and gratitude. "You're back, thank God, he's okay," she said softly. Mohan nodded, voice low but firm. "Yes, we're safe now." After ensuring the child had everything he needed, Mohan and Rika left the hospital and retraced their path home. The village lights glimmered in the distance, familiar and reassuring. Though the night's ordeal had ended, Mohan couldn't shake the memory of the forest, the old man, and the voices that had guided him. The storm had passed, but a subtle chill reminded him that some mysteries linger, waiting quietly in the shadows. Even as Mohan tucked his child safely into bed, a faint shadow flickered outside the window. He paused, heart tightening, not from fear, but from uneasy awareness. The forest, the old man, the voices, could they truly be gone? A whisper seemed to echo in the distance, almost carried by the wind. Mohan shook his head, convincing himself it was only imagination, yet the chill remained. Sometimes the smallest movements hold the largest secrets. The night was quiet, yet the mystery lingered, waiting for those curious to uncover what the forest hides. And to witness more chilling journeys like this, don't forget to subscribe and join us for the next unsettling tale.